Welcome to what was the first of our Directors Backed by BDO series for the beginning of 2020. This was a very interesting one. We had Bernard Hickey, Director of Newsroom, and commonly referred to himself as a journo entrepreneur, and Paul Goldsmith, the National Party finance spokesperson. Bernard, I'm really going to flick to you because that was just a whole session of covering lots of things from coronavirus, political environment, going into the election, talking about the impacts on New Zealand and the economy. So I'm going to kind of hand it up to you to summarise all and what you took out of it, and then on to Paul.
Yeah, I mean, it was great fun to talk about the economy, politics, finance, where we're going. So much news at the moment, and a big year because we have an election at the end of September, and within a few months, Paul, you could be the finance minister. So these problems,
it's a land of opportunity.
Yes, problems and opportunities could be in your hands. We talked a lot about COVID-19, what the government could do or should do. Paul gave a good summary of the key things that National will propose to the electorate in September around a small business and infrastructure and taxes. And Paul, you can give us a quick summary of your pitch and where you see the environment.
Yeah, look, I mean, two issues. The short term, obviously, great uncertainty around coronavirus and the need for your relative timely response in terms of helping those businesses most directly affected, particularly in tourism, hospitality, forestry. We're urging the government to get on with that. But we shouldn't lose sight of the longer term challenges for the country, which is relatively slow growth and the need for a clear, coherent growth plan. And so, we're very focused. We started this week on regulatory reduction. We're also very keen to talk about small business relief, trying to help those small businesses, which are the core of our economy, survive and do well. And then tax issues, infrastructure, and a families package. And so we'll be unfolding that in the next little while and keen for a robust debate over the next few months.
Are you going to win on your own? Is it going to be a drag race where it's National versus Labor and the Greens?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think that's a likely outcome is National and ACT versus Labor and the Greens, and we feel confident we can get our nose ahead.
Really? In an MMP environment, we've never had a result like that?
Well, the only question up in the air is the survival or not of New Zealand First, and time will tell, but they're a party under real pressure at the moment and not covering themselves in glory.
One thing that struck me in the discussion, and a lot of questions came around infrastructure and what National would do, and whether it would be keen on lots of spending on roads or rail, and how it would fund it.
Well, we're here in Auckland this morning, and I think all Aucklanders are very focused on the need to continue to invest in infrastructure. They've enjoyed the enormous progress made by the Waterview Tunnel, which the previous national government delivered. They enjoy the electric trains, which are also a legacy of the previous government. But they're also conscious of the enormous complications caused by building new infrastructure, and they want to see it happening sooner and faster. And so I think everybody's keen to invest in infrastructure. The real question is making sure that the investments are good quality and they will make a difference.
So one question, just to finalise from the audience, that I thought really summarised it, was a question to you. Why don't you get together with Grant Robertson and come up with a $100 billion plan over 10 years? Either party would commit to it. You remember, you can borrow for less than 1% at the moment. Why not do that to remove some of the political uncertainty for a lot of businesses who are wondering, is it going to be road or rail, or who do I have to worry about? Yeah. Why not do that bipartisanly?
Well, look, there is an element of that with the formation of the New Zealand Infrastructure Commission that the National has supported. It's been bipartisan support. So there is an element of that. You also have to deal with the reality of the Greens who, frankly, I think have a highly ideological approach to transport. And so that is the challenge that we have to work forward. We take the simple view that the purpose of transport should be to help people get around quickly and efficiently. That isn't actually the focus of Greens' view of transport, which is more focused on and actually changing people's behaviour and getting them out of their cars.
But you voted for the Carbon Zero Act.
And that's right. But you've got to have a pragmatic approach to transport that recognises the fact that most people in a place that is hilly and dark and raining all the time actually want to use their cars, and so you have to deliver the roading infrastructure to enable people to move around, as well as continuing to invest in good quality public transport. And so it's a bit of both. And what we saw 2 years ago when this government came in was a complete closing on anything to do with roads, and then doing nothing for 2 years, and then deciding 2 years later to start building the roads again. And the only outcome of that is we've wasted more than 2 years while they've figured out what they're doing.
So that was a good summary in 5 or 10 minutes of an hour of discussion, which I really enjoyed. It was great, David. So
I did enjoy it. Again, thank you, Paul and John. And I kind of think we might be revisiting a catch-up topic just before the election, if time permits. Thanks very much,
Okay, all the best.
Paul and Bernard. Thanks.
Cheers.